Think real estate's just for the rich? Think again. This is the wealth play they never taught us in school, and it's time to wake up.
I'm sitting here with the fabulous Miss Nikki Cloud. So I know we've known each other we were just talking about this, right? Like 13 years. It's crazy. You were doing taxes then.
Yes, yes.
I had an IT company then, and we're both like in two totally different realms now.
Yes.
So talk about your journey of matriculating from what you did before into real estate.
Yes, well, I've always been a serial entrepreneur. And real estate has been one of those things that I've always been fascinated with, even as a child. When I got my first car, I couldn't wait to drive through neighborhoods and look at the houses I used to stare at with binoculars from my bedroom window. And then also the investing side has always mainly tugged at me. Funny thing is, I never even knew that I would be a good real estate agent. I couldn't sell anything to save my life. I would just, the candy you would sell at school, they give to you to sell at school, I would eat it because I knew I wasn't going to be able to sell it. And
Hold on, you telling on yourself now.
I know, but then come to find out, I'm pretty good at selling real estate.
Yeah.
So yeah, on the investment side again, I've also always heard about how that's the main way to build your net worth.
Yeah.
And so naturally, that's what I gravitated over to.
So when you look kind of like at the state of the market now, a lot of young people think that home ownership is just like a myth at this point, right? We grew up, we knew we could have a house and a car, and that's what we ascribed to get, right? So what would you say to young people now that kind of have that thought in their mind about real estate?
Yeah, well, I do know just due to the climate that we're in with elevated interest rates and the elevated property values and things, it can seem a lot like it's a little bit out of reach. But I always tell people that you got to get in somewhere.
Yeah.
Today is always the day to get in. You got to get in and start building that equity at some point. It's either that or continue paying off somebody else's home properties and then building their network. So, yeah, I think that's they just got to get started. Just get started.
On the investment side, we say, when was the best time to invest? 5 years ago. When's the second best time? Today. Right?
That's it.
So,
exactly.
yeah, we look at prices because we're in Texas,
Yeah.
right? So if we look at prices in Texas over the last, 10 to 15 years, it's just been like astronomical, right?
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah.
I was selling brand new homes when I first got started. I was looking at
What
some
year was
paperwork.
this, by the way?
2011
Okay.
was when I first.
All right, about
now I'm
14
telling
years
my
ago.
age. I'm a seasoned bird at this point.
You're 21. You're 21.
Yes, 21. Thank you. He's good with numbers, so don't let him fool you. But what was it? Wait.
So the change from the market, what it used
That's
to be.
right. When I first got started, I was looking at some paperwork the other day. I was selling brand new homes at $98,000. There was one that was like 112, and now it's insane. It's insane.
What like size? Give us an idea. 4
Square
threes or-
footage, 14 to 1,700 square feet.
Okay.
Then now the same houses that maybe the square footage is 1,200 and it's 350, 400 and up depending on the area.
I mean, we've been spoiled in the South, though.
Oh, my gosh,
So
definitely.
I moved here from D.C. I'm originally from here, of course, but, through travels and all that stuff. So I moved from D.C.
I didn't know that.
When we moved from D.C., the house that we had there, I want to say we paid like $250,000 for it, but they were going for $700,000 then. And we just thought that was the most asinine thing ever. This is back in 07, 08, by
Isn't
the
that
way.
crazy? That's when I bought my first home.
Okay. And so that kind of leads me into, so you bought your first home around the time that the market was crashing.
Yes.
So talk about,
Yes.
being a homeowner and then kind of being in the real estate market as well.
Yes. So I bought my first home. I was 22 years old.
Wow.
And it was a new build, and it was 127.
Okay.
And
A lot of money back then.
It was a lot of money back then. And that same house, and I kicked myself because I sold it.
Yeah.
Probably I think over 10 years ago, but now that same house is almost 300,000. Oh my God. But yeah, I just knew that when you get married, that's what you need to do. You need to go, of course, get your home, get your cars and all that stuff, and start building that equity. And once I did that, when I got in, maybe a few years later, the market started crashing. So I looked at the equity and we're upside down. And so in my head at that time, just being nervous and not knowing any better, as soon as it recovered, I was like, let me get rid of this thing.
Oh, no.
I know. But now when you know better, you do
Yep,
better. So
that's true.
now I'm
That's
definitely
true.
teaching people to do better and all that good stuff. But yeah, just getting into that's where I first got my start at. And then I started buying investment properties. I started buying for investment purposes around 2012. So I've purchased, I do a lot of flips and wholesales, and then I've invested in commercial real estate as well.
Wow. Talk more about that, because a lot of times, especially in our community, right, we understand buy the house you're going to live in, and that's kind of where it stops, right? So you pressed the gas, you started investing in those kind of opportunities that would make you money. First of all, who turned you on?
Google University.
Okay. So you Googled how you make wealth in this country.
I did.
Okay.
The funny
All
thing
right.
is, I really started out with Susie Orman. What are you gonna buy?
Yeah.
And I used to watch her, and I would be like, when I get some money, I'm gonna do everything she said. And one of those things was real estate. And so
Yep.
just different nuggets that she would drop and different gems. I would just research those and implement those.
So how did you get into the commercial real estate? Was that her advice as well?
No,
Okay.
it was mainly me understanding that me paying rent is just paying off somebody else's property and building their network. And so even in the commercial space, I was like, I don't want to do that. I want to own my own buildings. And so I purchased a couple of buildings, and then we office out of them, and then it was an event center, and we rented out to different churches and things. It was like a multi-use space, but
remember
it
that
was
spot.
yes, you remember. But it was mainly so that I would be building my own equity instead of somebody else's.
And so what are some of the myths that you see specifically in marginalized communities? Like when you're working with young people or even old people, because some of those myths still exist, but what are some of the things that hang people up when they're thinking about purchasing their first home?
Two things that come to mind: credit and the monies, the down payment.
Okay.
Those are the things that usually people feel like there's no way home for them because maybe the over through life and life's changes. Maybe there's some damage to the credit, and then of course not being able to build up those funds for the down payment. But there are resources. There's resources. That's why you have to get with someone who's knowledgeable and that knows the proper channels to get you home.
So you're saying that there's resources out there to help people with their first home?
Definitely.
Wow. Okay.
One of them that I utilize, and you have to be careful, credit repair. It does work. It does help. It just depends on who you decide to work with. There's a lot of them companies that may not deliver as promised.
Scammers.
Yeah,
we call those scammers.
Yeah, I was trying to be
Now,
nice.
you don't have to name who they are, but they
But
scamming out
they
there.
scamming. It is
Okay.
what it is.
Okay. All right. Hit her up and she'll tell you who they are.
Correct. But yeah, I've utilized a couple of credit repair companies for clients for years. One example, one girl, she had a 400 credit score.
Wow.
I don't know if I had seen one that low ever. And she was able to purchase a home within a matter of 6 months to a year. But then
Oh,
she
wow.
was very diligent at following the advice and doing everything that they said.
So what's that kind of sweet spot then? Well, what's the low end and the high end when it comes to a sweet spot of getting that first home?
As credit-wise?
Credit-wise.
Yes, so minimum credit score would be about 580.
Okay.
And then sometimes there are programs where, a 550 will suffice. It just
Wow.
depends on the other variables, such as your debt-to-income ratio, income, and all of that stuff as well. And then, depending on the type of loan that you're getting, a 620 to 640 would be more favorable. And
Because
then
that payment will be lower for that person. And so what kind of down payment are we talking about nowadays? Because it's been a while since I bought a home. I was just thinking about that the other
ready
day.
to buy another one?
No, not right
Oh,
now.
okay.
I'm ready to sell one, though. I got one that I want to sell. You do?
Look at God.
Yeah. But like, what's the, let's say I want to buy a $350,000 home. That's probably, somewhere in the sweet spot in Texas. And I have a 650 credit score. What am I looking at, like, putting down?
So typically, unless you qualify for a zero down product or program, loan wise, there's other programs such as the FHA loan, and that's typically 3.5% down.
What does that stand for, by the way?
FHA, Federal Housing Administration.
Okay, because we drop game here, so people
Yes,
can go in.
yes, that is what FHA stands for. And basically, a FHA loan is a government-backed loan. They do have different standards and requirements that must be met, but it's a great loan for people that are just getting started, first-time home buyers, definitely.
Okay. Is there any fear in the market? I know on the investment side with the new administration, there's been a lot of, swings in the market. So when you start thinking about the real estate market, like how are you all feeling about the new administration and where you see that headed over the next 4 years? The part that you could say. Don't get us canceled in the second season now.
That's what I'm just sitting here like.
All right, maybe I should ask a different question in a better way.
I'll speak to it as much as I can while trying to be politically correct, if that's possible.
Yeah, because we're capitalists.
Correct.
Here, you know
correct.
what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like, that's all we really care about.
Of course,
but,
definitely. It is. Some people feel like it's an uncertain time. We don't know which way our administration is going to go, and I guess it just depends on the way the wind blows. Who knows? But we are hopeful. Hopefully, we're going to start seeing those interest rates soften some over the course of the next 2 to 3 years or so. And I do know that. I do know that there will be change. I do know that just based on I listen to a lot of different real estate gurus and everything, and it's an uncertain time, but it's not one that we haven't seen before.
Yeah.
I mean, because technically, historically, interest rates are still low.
Absolutely.
I mean, at one point, they were close to 20, 17. I hear stories all the time where
I've seen 17% with my own eyes.
That's insane.
So, yeah,
wow.
Yeah, I can, I'm telling my age now.
Oh my God!
Yeah,
I was about to
remember
say
what
I've heard stories from some seasoned folk that have talked about interest rates of 17 and 18 and things like that. And right now we did have a little bit of a bump, so we're in the late 6s, maybe early 7s. I mean, it's different from what it was during the COVID time, but that wasn't real.
No, you couldn't sustain 0%.
We cannot. We
Nobody's
couldn't.
making any money.
Right,
It's
and
kinda going.
it did kind of spoil some people. A lot of people are not wanting to sell because they don't want to let go of those.
Because you got to go back
interest
into
rates.
the market again if you want another house. So I get it.
So what we're seeing now are the people who have to sell, people that are needing to sell for whatever reason, whether it's a change in life circumstances, needing to change locations, things like that. So the market is still going, and I just say just don't stop. People need to just go ahead and still do what they need to do because the interest rate, we say, and I know you've heard this before, you date the rate and you marry the price.
Yeah.
So the price is stuck.
Yeah.
It may be up and stuck, but that interest rate, it is not. It will come down at some point. And at that time, you'll be able to refinance.
Yeah. The guy that makes those decisions is Jerome Powell. He's the Fed chair. Do realtors keep up with any of that stuff? Because as investors, every time he talks, we stop everything we're doing and watch him and listen. Do realtors do
Yes,
that? Yeah.
we do. I try my best. I listen to quite a few different ones, but I do try to stay up on that. And then I have really good trusted partners like lenders and everything that keep me abreast of what's going on as well in the market.
Some of my first real estate purchases were in my old neighborhood, right? I'm from Stop 6, and so...
Me too.
I don't think I knew that.
I didn't know you were from Stop 6
All right.
either.
Yeah, I grew up off of Barry and Clotel.
Very nice.
So that was the hood, right? And when I started buying those, but now we've seen gentrification kind of happen, right? And so this is a story across the United States. We see places that used to be undesirable.
Yeah.
Now all of a sudden, that's where the what's the store that goes in? Whole Food. That's where the
Yes.
Whole Food goes
Yes.
in. So then we start to see a turnaround. So as you continue to help people, what do you tell people about investing in those kind of areas?
I say so. I invest in those areas. My first home that I bought was in Stop 6.
Okay.
And it's crazy because I bought that property at $43,000, somewhere like that, in 2012.
Wow.
And I sold it recently for
Hold on, we don't want to
230.
get you robbed now. So
But I already spent the money or reinvested, so don't worry.
don't even run up. Ain't nothing
Don't run
left
up. I already didn't put it somewhere else.
That's good. But yeah, so 43 to 200,000 in less than what, 12, 13 years?
Yeah,
call it?
yeah, and that's how you build your net worth, because I did that I replicated that. I did it several times. And so I think those areas that they are great to invest in if you can find those same types of. Well, you're not going to find those. Let me not set that expectation.
Yeah.
Because people like to call me looking for those types of deals in this day and time, and I always let them know if those were still out here, I would have a bunch of. Actually, you wouldn't even be talking to me. I'll be on an island somewhere. But there are deals. Yeah. There are still some deals. Definitely, I'm sure you've seen where they're building homes for 300 and 350 brand new in stop 6. I mean, it's insane. But if you can get your foot over there, definitely this is the time, because it's going to go up.
My story is I bought a condo, like my best investment of all time. I bought a condo down the street from where the Cowboys Stadium ended up opening.
Wow.
And so I got in the condo a year before.
Oh my
and
gosh.
So I'm not gonna say numbers because I haven't spent that money. It's invested, but but yeah. So when I bought that condo, I think I paid like $27,000 for that condo. And so knowing what was about to happen in Arlington, because it was kind of in the hood area, right?
Yeah.
But knowing what was about to happen in Arlington, and so by the time we sold it many years later, the stadium was there. They had built the Arlington, Arlington Live and all of that stuff out there.
Wow.
And so I'm always telling young people, like, look for those type of opportunities, because you
Yeah.
mentioned Stop 6.
Yeah.
They're building condos and townhouses over there
They
now.
are. They
So what I tell the young people that I work with is to get a group of people and like go into that together.
Absolutely.
So did
Yeah.
you ever work with anybody, or it was everything that you purchased just kind of your own thing?
It was just my own thing.
Okay.
Just for reasons I trust issues.
Okay.
But now I'm starting to understand you can't go at everything alone.
Yeah.
I've had a great deal of success on my own, just figuring things out. And what I realized is that was just favor.
Right.
It was favor. Luck, some would call it.
Yeah.
But I also have made some mistakes trying to go at things alone. So I would say definitely partner up with people who have more experience.
How do you know like who to trust though? Like how are you in that real estate game able to gauge whether or not somebody's gaming or not? Because in our game, it's kind of easy to see.
It's so
you know
easy.
what I mean?
What the kids call it, cap.
Cap.
Real estate is the most cap-tastic
Okay.
industry that you can be in, because everything is Instagram. Everything they post on Instagram, and I'm the guru of that. We go post the shiny cars and everything in the jewelry, and people think that you have these material things, so you must have achieved a certain level of success, and that's not always true. It's
Right.
not always true. So I definitely check. I like to check track records. I like to check numbers. I like to check references.
And all of this is public.
A lot of times it
Okay.
is definitely. Well, for me, www.kitiadreamhome.com. You can go. You can check my reviews. I have close to 200 5-star rated reviews where my clients talk about their experiences with me and the results that we provide. And then, too, you ask me my numbers, I'm going to provide them because they're real.
But I'm saying, like, if I'm not a realtor, I'm just a regular person, and somebody comes and they say, hey, we're going to invest in this thing together. Like, when you're structuring that deal, one, who do you talk to help you kind of put that together? Is that a realtor or is that a broker or whatever?
I gotcha.
That's one question. And then the second is, how do I get that person's track record?
One thing that I wish I made some mistakes. If I had have known to check and see if someone was accredited investor,
Okay.
I think that don't you think that usually helps to kind of.
Yeah, in our game, it's one of those deals where let me see your portfolio.
Yeah.
Because then I can kind
definitely.
of gauge what you've been invested in, how you invest, those kind of things.
Yeah, definitely.
But,
I
you know,
agree.
yeah.
I agree. The portfolio as well. And then, of course, I do like to make sure now that they're an accredited investor themselves.
Okay.
And then references. References are big.
Oh, that's key. That's key. Because somebody can, rehearse the answers. But when you say, hey, give me some references, let me talk to some people you've worked with before.
Yeah.
If they gaming, they're not going to give you the references.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. And you
Yeah.
can usually tell just based on the lingo that they utilize. I had an investor call me a few months ago, and they wanted to partner on some things, and I asked them for their references and asked them about their portfolio and things. And all I know is they went cold. They went dark when it came time to send that stuff over. So that let me know you probably was trying to scam me.
Yep. And it's important not to chase people.
Correct.
That's why I always tell people, like, if somebody tells you who they are, trust them.
Correct.
Because they're
Yeah.
going to give you that information.
Oh my gosh, yes.
So when you talk about mentoring young people in the real estate game, by the way, thank you. I appreciate you doing
Yes,
what you
thank you
did
for
for my
trusting
boy.
me.
So when you start mentoring those young people, what are some of the things that you take them through to kind of vet who they are? And what do you do to kind of help them get to the next level?
So one thing that I like to do is have them take a personality test.
Okay. Which one? Myers-Briggs
Usually
or-
I didn't went blank.
Okay. Don't
It's
worry
one
about it.
that Tony Robbins is one good one, and then there's one that Keller Williams. Oh, how I went blank.
It'll come back around.
It will come back to me, and then I'll give it to you. But those are so helpful because it definitely helps you to understand more about you and what sector of real estate you may be good or better in, and also what skills do you have that may help you in this industry. And usually I have them do that, and then it kind of helps me to see what type of personality that they have, so I can see how to train them and how to help them maneuver through this industry.
Have you ever had somebody take it and you're like, yeah, nah, this ain't probably for you?
A couple people. Yeah.
So how do you tell somebody to kick rocks? And
We try to work with them because we
Okay.
want to help them shine the best way we can. But
Okay.
usually they're going to realize for themselves a lot of the times that this may not be it for me. There was one sweet baby. She came to me and she had just got licensed, and I was working through it with her. And I mean, maybe a couple months in, she was saying how she doesn't like this part, or she doesn't like that. I'm like, baby, you ain't even sold one house yet.
right, this the game. What you talking about?
What do you mean you don't like showing houses? What do you?
Now, if you're a realtor and you don't like showing houses, you definitely don't need to be in real
You
estate.
do not need to be. So and a lot of people, I think they see, because some people have made real estate, we've glamorized it. I have a friend in Atlanta, and you know who you are if you watch this, but she's glamorized it, or not glamorized it, but she makes it look so good and so easy because she's so good at it and so
Yeah.
fluid and does it such a high level. And a lot of people think that, all I got to do is get up, comb my hair, put my makeup on, and put on something cute, and I'm a real estate agent.
But she don't show the paperwork and the late
Correct.
nights and all of those things.
And the what she does show, they not paying that no attention. They just think, that's the easy part.
Wow.
No, that's where the hearts, the grit comes in. That's where we got to roll up our sleeves, and we got to know what we're doing, make sure our skills are sharpened and things like that.
Where do you see AI kind of infringing on your marketplace? Anywhere?
I feel like AI is a great tool. It's going to be a great tool if you know how to utilize it. I'm not really concerned about it pushing out real estate agents, the good ones, because real estate, you definitely still need that human side to it. That robots or AI, yes, I know they are able to sometimes emulate in certain ways. My ChatGPT, she got a heart for me. She understands me. We go together real bad. But you do still need that human side, that human emotion. And so I feel like we're going to be fine there. And it's just we have to utilize it as a tool.
Some of the young people that are coming into the space now, what are some of those skills that they need to develop then in order for AI not to take them out? Because I'll tell you why I'm asking this. I work at TCU.
Yes.
I work with a lot of young people.
Yes.
And when I ask them what they want to do, a lot of times they'll say, whatever, like real estate or engineering or whatever. And I'm saying to myself, well, have you looked at where ChatGPT is or other AI modules, LLMs? So you're going into a workforce that won't exist in 5 years.
Correct.
And so what are some of those intangible skills that they need to work on so that they can, make it past this?
People skills is a huge one. Some people think that you just innately get how to handle people, customer service, and things of that nature, and you really don't. You definitely have to have a heart for people. You definitely have to know how to put yourself in their shoes and be able to sympathize with them so that you can help them with accomplish whatever their goal is. That's a huge one. I feel like that has helped me quite a bit.
Yeah.
And then of course negotiation. Everything is about negotiations. You don't even know it, but a lot of times when because he likes to pull me out of my box, and I appreciate him for it. And sometimes he'll be, will you do this? And it is I'm in my head.
Yeah, negotiate with yourself.
Yes. And then because it's Cal, I'm always say yes. But yeah, everything is negotiation. You definitely have to know how to negotiate in the most favorable terms for your client.
Did you go to, I don't even know, is it real estate school? How
Yeah.
do you, okay, all right.
Yeah.
So you go to real estate school, and one of those modules or chapters is negotiation?
It talks about negotiations,
Okay.
but it just kind of touches on it. But I haven't. I did take I do have accreditation. I'm a real estate negotiating expert.
Oh, okay.
And I just did that. Recently, within the last year or so.
Did you notice a change in how you work with clients then?
Just a tad, because
Okay.
some things, certain things I got innately
Gotcha.
that I didn't know back when I was eating that candy, because I didn't think I could sell anything. But once I really started believing more in myself and just applying some of these skills, that's why I read something recently where it talked about go back to when you were a child and see what things that you got, or characteristics that you got just innately. Like, were you good at negotiating on the playground? Were you good at getting yourself in or out of trouble?
Mostly in.
I know. And these things that you were innately good at, you got to figure out what those are, and because those will help you as you start applying them in whatever industry you're in or whatever it is you're trying to do in life. So some things I innately got. And some of my hustle, innately, just because I saw a way of life, and I actually what it was, I just enjoy freedom. I just enjoy freedom and being able to not have to live under stress and have different financial woes and all that stuff. So I just knew just work.
That's good.
Yeah.
And that leads, as we kind of land this plane, I want to ask, what do you want to be remembered for when it comes to your financial legacy?
The amount of people that I was able to help, the people that I was able to teach the game, the people that what's the most heartfelt, the most heart touching to me is when people that never thought that they would be able to own a home or have a piece of equity, and I was able to help them get there, accomplish
And you
that.
see that big smile.
Yeah,
and
the
kids
tears,
and
and people don't know that I'm a jelly bean, hard on the outside, soft on the inside. So I'm sitting here holding back tears, and I've had people that literally just fall out because they just didn't think that this would ever happen for them.
That's amazing.
So yeah, that is what I like to be remembered for.
How have you been able to stay disciplined in your finances all these years?
The discipline part. Just basically keeping my goals at the forefront. And my goal is to not, so when I first got in, the real story, when I first got in, one of the first agents I worked with, she was an older lady, 70 something.
Okay.
70, yeah, she was older, and she was still selling real estate. And clearly, I felt like she was still doing it because she couldn't retire.
Oh.
Because we know the retirement age is typically about 65.
55 for me.
And I was about to say, if the Lord say the same, I ain't got long. You hear that, Lord? But I said that she obviously couldn't retire, so she had to continue doing it. And I said that will not be me. So that's why every choice that I've made or decision that I've made is to set myself up for the future.
Yeah, I love it. So how have you overcome some of those financial woes, or, because we all have ebbs and flows in our life. And again, we try and give game here. So how were you able to get past some of those financial setbacks, if you will?
The main thing has always been living below my means.
Okay.
I mean, of course, I like things. I like nice things.
We all do.
Yep.
You just can't always have them,
You
right?
can't always have more. Everything within moderation. That's
Uh-huh.
always been my thing. Always with moderation. And I've seen family members, close people to me, where maybe they had funds, a certain level of funds, but then they did not do the right things with them. So I just have always done the opposite.
You
of
can learn
that.
a lot from a dummy, right?
Yes, indeedy. Yes, indeedy. I've had a lot of friends, family members, and everything, and I just was like, you know what? I don't want that to be me, so let me do it a little differently.
Where was your first like experience growing up around money? We talked before we were on camera about you stealing all of the candy from the school candy sale. So maybe that's it. But statute of limitations, we don't have to worry about her
Correct.
getting arrested.
I
so.
can pay it back now. If
I know,
need be.
right? You
But
can buy a whole
actually,
box.
once I got caught, my mama had to pay it, and then I
Okay.
would just get in trouble.
All
But
right. So is that your first kind of memory around money, or?
that's, for some reason, that always stands out to me when it comes to...
I mean, it's hilarious to hear. So.
Because it's shocking that I actually sell at the level I sell.
Yeah.
I just got recognized as being the #1 agent in our brokerage out of 600
That's
agents.
what's up, man.
And I
Congratulations.
typically stay there. I'm between 1% and 5%, depending on how I'm working. The top 1 to 5%, in the out of all the agents in the Metroplex. And I think at one while there was 30,000 of us, but since the market changed, it's a little different.
They'll be
now.
back though.
They'll be back.
They'll be
yeah.
back.
Yeah, but I think my first conversation with money, I just always remember my mother saying, my stepfather saying, just save. And then that's what we did. And then later on, you realize you're just hoarding money, and there's something. Money is a tool. Money is each dollar is
Yeah.
a soldier that is supposed to be working for you.
Absolutely.
So once I realized that, it was up.
What's the best piece of financial advice you've either gotten or given to somebody?
Get in real estate. to make it simple, but there's layers to it, right?
Yeah.
So they said buy real estate because that is where all the wealth is generated. So I got into real estate, but sometimes at first I felt like I didn't do it right, because I just started buying a bunch of houses,
Yeah.
and that's a blessing.
Yeah.
But I didn't do a personality test to make sure that my personality is fit to be a property manager to all of those people.
Yeah.
So we're in the middle of a restructure, because we truly do want to start sliding into that passive and be more at ease. And I want to experience some of this soft life that the girlies are talking about these days.
Exactly. Where's your favorite place in the world? I see you travel quite a bit. So.
Morocco. Morocco is very high up there for me.
Yeah. What do you like about Morocco?
Oh, the culture, the colors. It's so vibrant.
It
the
is.
food. I just love it.
So Jessica and I went to Morocco. It's been about 8 years.
Did you
now.
go? Oh my
yes,
gosh, I
we
love
went.
it.
I don't know if you knew this, but I used to live in Cairo, so I lived in Egypt for a year.
I did not know that.
That's a whole nother story.
Oh my God, this man got a lot of layers to him. You've lived a lot of life.
I've lived on 5 continents. I've lived in 42
Goodness.
countries. Yeah, all of that stuff. I
Incredible.
know I don't look that old, but I am.
That's
but-
a lesson.
We went to Morocco.
Okay.
We didn't check the calendar. We went during Ramadan.
Okay.
So the entire city was shut down
Yep.
from like,
What month did you
To-
go?
it had to been June, if I remember correctly. And
That's
so we
right.
get there, and it's literally nothing going on. So I'm like, where are all of the people in them? But the thing that made me the most like upset was we stayed in a Marriott or whatever. The people are serving you, but they're fasting. And so I just felt like such a jerk, you know? And they back there cooking my food and all of this stuff, and they can't even eat. So
But
anyway,
the discipline, though.
Oh my God!
Every time I travel to a country like that, I just think about the discipline, because no matter
Absolutely.
what time of the day, when the call happens, they stop and they pray wherever they are.
Yeah.
Like, and I just have always admired that discipline, because I don't know if I could serve you and I'm hungry.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
I aspire to have that level of discipline.
So Morocco's your number one place. Where's the second place?
Bora Bora.
Bora Bora. Okay.
Yeah, I went to Morocco. I went to for the second time, just latter part of last year.
Okay.
And oh my gosh, I just love it.
Could you imagine yourself living in another place other than the United States?
I
Because that's
could.
kind of like the new thing, right?
Yeah,
We
yeah.
getting out. So
I could. And
Yeah.
it's just, I love anywhere that's outside of the States so much. Most of the time, it would be hard for me to nail down a place, but
Yeah.
probably somewhere where it's more tropical, like a Fiji. Um, Egypt was beautiful. I took my mother there as her Mother's Day. This is what I was talking about.
Uh-huh.
As her Mother's Day gift in 2023. And
Okay.
it was a bucket list of
Did
hers.
you get a
and it was
chance to go
amazing.
see the pyramids?
Yes,
and
we
the whole-
did.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was amazing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's a
and that's the
beautiful
other
place.
thing about just being. That's why I tell people get into real estate, because just the opportunity
Mm-hmm.
and just the things that I've been able to experience and accomplish. It's due to real estate.
Yeah. When you're traveling, do you look at like the structure of stuff and
Oh
all
my
of that?
gosh, that's what I love the most about Morocco. I think
Okay.
just because the architecture,
Yeah.
and to know
Dope.
that we did that.
Mm-hmm.
We did that. We hand with our let me
Yeah.
not get too deep, but yeah.
Nah,
It's
it's
just I always
facts.
get
It's
so
facts.
wild and just oh
Yeah.
my God, the mosque and all that stuff. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's beautiful people in a beautiful country.
Yes,
So how
yes.
do the folks catch up with you, keep up with you, see what you're doing in Fiji and Morocco?
Well, yes, you can follow me at Key to Your Dream Home on Instagram, or Nikki Cloud, and my website is www.keytoyourdreamhome.com.
All right. Well, I want to thank Nikki for coming and hanging out with us for a little bit. Like, share, and subscribe, and also send a comment and reach out to her. So think and grow rich. We'll see you on the next episode.